the priceless benefits of living simply, that nobody tells you. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by life? As if you're constantly running towards something, but never really arriving? Society tells us that success means acquiring more money, more possessions, more responsibilities, more status. But what if that narrative is wrong? What if success isn't about having more, but needing less? Let me ask you, what does more mean to you? And has chasing it ever truly made you feel content? We're conditioned to believe that accumulating things equals a better life. But what if the opposite were true? What if simplicity, not excess, held the key to true fulfillment? Take a step back and ask yourself, why do we chase complexity? Why do we seek bigger houses, fancier cars, and endlessly packed schedules? The answer? It lies in how our minds have been shaped since childhood. We're taught that life is about progress, about climbing a never-ending ladder. But have you ever paused to ask, where does that ladder even lead? And is the climb actually worth it? Imagine waking up in a home filled with expensive furniture, designer clothes, and high-tech gadgets. Sounds comfortable, right? But beneath that surface lurks a hidden burden: maintenance. The more we own, the more we must manage. Every new purchase demands our attention: cleaning, repairing, upgrading, replacing. We don't just buy things, we inherit responsibilities. And slowly, without even realizing it, we become enslaved by the very things we thought would bring us joy. But let's flip the script. Picture a different kind of life. One where you own only what you need and truly value. A home where every object serves a purpose. A schedule filled not with obligations, but with meaningful moments. Wouldn't that be a breath of fresh air? In this world, you're not drowning in distractions. You have the clarity to focus on what actually matters. Simplicity isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. When we remove the unnecessary, we create space for what enriches the soul. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence, free from notifications, free from pressure to be productive? How did it feel? Wasn't there something peaceful about it? We often equate complexity with sophistication. But what if that's a lie? What if the greatest minds in history, like Buddha, Socrates, or Thoreau, didn't thrive because they had more, but because they embraced less? Here's the real challenge. Do we have the courage to let go, to step off the treadmill of endless consumption and choose a simpler, more intentional life? Because that's where true joy lives. Simplicity isn't just about material things. It's also about mental clarity. Think about it. How many of your daily stresses are self-imposed? How much of your anxiety stems from commitments you never even wanted? When we simplify, we reclaim our time, our energy, and our peace of mind. We free ourselves from the exhausting pursuit of more, and instead embrace the power of enough. But what does enough mean to you? Have you ever stopped to define it, or are you chasing an endless horizon, without knowing why? Here's a thought experiment. If you could only keep 5 material things in your life, what would they be, and why? Would your choices surprise you? Would you realize that most of what we accumulate isn't essential to our happiness? The world tells us success is measured by how much we have. But what if true success is measured by how little we need to feel content? What if the richest person is the one who desires the least? Let that sink in. What if everything you've been taught about fulfillment has been pointing you in the wrong direction? What if freedom isn't found in acquiring, but in letting go? Let's talk about the paradox of choice. Why having less actually gives you more. In today's world, we're drowning in options. Walk into a supermarket, hundreds of cereal brands. Scroll through streaming services, thousands of shows. Open your phone, infinite content. We think more choice equals more freedom. But does it? Have you ever felt paralyzed by too many options? Psychologist Barry Schwartz calls this the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder it becomes to decide. And even when we do decide, we second-guess ourselves. This applies not just to shopping, but to life itself. We're told we can be anything, do anything, have anything. But instead of feeling free, we feel overwhelmed. Every decision feels like a gamble. Every path not taken becomes a source of regret. But what if happiness isn't in expanding our options, but in willingly limiting them. What if freedom comes not from having everything, but from valuing the few things that truly matter? Imagine waking up, knowing exactly what you need to do. A life not filled with noise, but with presence. Doesn't that sound like a relief? Minimalism isn't just about cleaning your closet, it's about clearing your mind. Every possession, every commitment, every extra responsibility steals a slice of your attention. And attention is our most valuable resource. The world is constantly fighting for it. Advertisers, social media, endless notifications. But ask yourself, who or what is truly worthy of your attention? Are you giving your time and energy to what enriches your life, or are you wasting it on things that add nothing to your well-being? If this message made you pause, even for a moment, then you're on the right path. A path toward peace, clarity, and freedom. If you found value in this message, like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a community that values simplicity and lives with intention. Let's talk about well-being. When was the last time you sat alone with your thoughts, truly undisturbed? No phone, no background noise, just you and your mind. If that idea makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself, why? Why do we constantly seek external stimulation? Why do we fear stillness? The truth is, we often use distractions to escape ourselves. We fill our lives with unnecessary complexity, because simplicity forces us to face the uncomfortable truths we've been avoiding. Simplicity is not weakness. It's an act of courage. It requires us to strip away the excess and confront what remains. And without the noise of constant consumption, we are left with something raw, honest, and undeniable, our true selves. And that can be terrifying, because it forces us to ask the hard questions. Who am I when I'm not defined by what I own? What do I truly value? What do I want my life to stand for? There's profound power in knowing exactly what matters to you. When we simplify, we reclaim control. We stop letting the world dictate our desires, and instead, we define them for ourselves. But here's where most people struggle, because choosing a simple life often means going against the grain. It means saying no to the cultural belief that more is always better. It means letting go of the illusion that external achievements will bring internal peace. But ask yourself honestly, how much of what you chase is truly for you, and how much is just an attempt to meet society's expectations? How many of your goals are rooted in genuine passion, and how many are just unconscious imitations of what you think you should want? The moment you start questioning that, you begin to reclaim your freedom. Many of the wisest individuals, from ancient philosophers to modern thinkers, have all embraced simplicity as the path to clarity. Take Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who ruled one of the most powerful civilizations in history. Even with all his influence, he constantly reminded himself that fame, wealth, and power were fleeting illusions. He understood that true contentment doesn't come from external accumulation, but from internal mastery. The same truth echoes in the words of Henry David Thoreau, who retreated to the woods not out of deprivation, but out of a desire to live deliberately, to strip life down to its essentials, and see what truly remained. So, ask yourself, what would happen if you simplified your life? What if you stopped chasing goals that don't fulfill you? What if you let go of possessions that don't serve you? What if you cut out distractions that drain your energy? What would you be left with? Maybe, for the first time, you'd be left with clarity, with space to focus on what truly brings you joy, with the realization that happiness isn't found out there, but uncovered when you remove everything that isn't it. The world will always try to convince you that you need more money, more stuff, more accomplishments. But what if the real secret to fulfillment isn't in adding, but in subtracting? What if the person who has the most isn't the one who's acquired the most, but the one who needs the least? If you could remove everything unnecessary from your life, what would remain? Would it be enough? Or would it actually be more than enough? The weight of possessions, how owning less can make you feel lighter. We rarely stop to consider the silent burden of the things we own. Every object in your possession carries a subtle psychological weight. a quiet demand for your time, attention, and care. The more we accumulate, the heavier this burden becomes, until, one day we find ourselves trapped beneath the very things we once thought would bring us happiness. But why does this happen? It starts with a simple illusion, the belief that acquiring more will make us feel more secure. We buy things in anticipation of future needs. A bigger house gives us comfort. A fancier car gives us status. More clothes, more gadgets, more furniture, each promising to fill some invisible void. But ask yourself, once you have it all, do you ever truly feel satisfied? Or do you simply create new desires? The truth is, possessions don't just take up physical space, they take up mental space. Every item you own requires maintenance. Every new purchase demands your time, your energy, and your headspace. And the more we accumulate, the more we find ourselves in a never-ending cycle of upkeep. How often do you find yourself reorganizing, cleaning, fixing things that break, or simply struggling to find space for all your new stuff? Every hour spent managing possessions is an hour taken away from living, and yet we continue to chase more, falsely believing that the next purchase will finally bring peace. But here's the paradox. The more we try to own, the less free we become. We don't just buy things with money. We buy them with our time, our energy, and our attention. A luxurious house brings constant upkeep. A high-end wardrobe demands mental bandwidth. Even digital clutter, endless apps, subscriptions, and notifications, leaves us feeling mentally scattered and exhausted. At some point, we look around and realize, instead of serving us, our possessions have become our captors. Imagine the opposite. Now imagine a different kind of life. One where you own only what truly adds value. A home where every item has a purpose. A space that feels open, peaceful, and light. Doesn't that sound like a breath of fresh air? This is the essence of simplicity. It's not deprivation, but intentionality. So why is it so hard to let go? Because of attachment. We associate our belongings with identity, with memories, with who we think we are. A closet full of unworn clothes? That's not just fabric, it's past selves, future dreams, and unfulfilled potential. A cluttered home? It's not just a mess, it's a reflection of the stories we tell ourselves about who we need to be in order to feel happy. Letting go, then, isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological. It forces us to confront fears, fear of scarcity, fear of regret, fear that without these things we might somehow be less. But here's a question worth asking. When was the last time a possession brought you lasting happiness? Not momentary excitement, but true, enduring peace. Because if possessions could truly fulfill us, wouldn't we all be content by now? The true key to fulfillment isn't in accumulation, but in detachment. The less we depend on external things for our happiness, the freer we become. This doesn't mean rejecting all material comfort. It means recognizing that the things we own should serve our well-being, not dictate it. It's a shift in mindset from consumption to appreciation, from chasing more to cherishing what we already have, from filling our lives with objects to filling them with experiences, relationships, and moments of true presence. Think back on the most fulfilling moments of your life. Were they defined by what you owned or by what you felt? Was it the car you drove or the journey you took? Was it the house you lived in or the love that filled it? When we strip away the unnecessary, we begin to see what truly matters. And more often than not, the things that bring us the greatest joy are the ones that cannot be bought. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What possessions, commitments, or distractions are weighing you down? And more importantly, what would your life look like if you had the courage to let them go? Because perhaps the greatest irony of all is this: in letting go, we gain more than we ever lost. We gain clarity, we gain freedom, we gain the ability to live, not for things, but for meaning. And in the end, isn't that what we were searching for all along? The unseen wealth of simplicity. Why less is the ultimate luxury? There is a kind of wealth that cannot be measured in bank accounts, square footage, or possessions. It is invisible to the world, but deeply felt in the soul. It's the wealth of time, of clarity, of inner peace. And yet, it is the most overlooked wealth of all. We live in a world that glorifies accumulation. That equates success with material abundance. That tells us happiness is always just one more purchase, one more promotion, one more milestone away. But what if everything we're searching for is already here, hidden beneath the noise of excess? What if the ultimate luxury in life isn't having more, but needing less? When we simplify, we reclaim something priceless. Time, the one resource we can never replenish. Yet we trade it away so easily. We sacrifice days, months, and even years, chasing things we're told we need. We work jobs we don't love, to buy things we don't need, to impress people who aren't even paying attention. And in doing so, we miss the very life we're trying so hard to enhance. But imagine, what would your life look like if time belonged to you again? If your days weren't dictated by obligations to the things you've accumulated, but instead filled with the freedom to pursue what truly matters, what would you do? Who would you become? Simplicity gives us space, not just in our homes, but in our minds. When we remove the unnecessary, we create room for presence, for creativity, for genuine connection. We begin to notice the beauty in small things, the way sunlight filters through a window, the sound of laughter in a quiet room, the feeling of deep conversation, unburdened by distraction. These are the moments that make life rich. And yet, they often go unnoticed in the rush of chasing more. Have you ever felt the weight of unnecessary obligations lift from your shoulders? Have you ever experienced that deep exhale, that realization that you don't have to keep up, that you don't have to prove anything to anyone? That is the wealth of simplicity. That is the luxury of enough. Redefining success. Perhaps the greatest gift of simplicity is that it forces us to redefine success. In a world that measures worth in possessions, choosing to live with less is a radical act. It's a statement that says, I am enough as I am. I don't need external validation to feel complete. This is a kind of freedom few ever attain, because it asks us to step outside the narrative we've been given. It asks us to stop looking outward for fulfillment and start looking inward. And when we do, we realize happiness was never hiding in things. It was always within us, waiting to be uncovered. The final question. So the question is, are you willing to let go? Are you willing to strip away the excess and see what remains? Are you willing to trade the illusion of security for the reality of freedom? Because if you are, you might just discover that the life you've been chasing is the one that exists when you stop chasing altogether. In the end, the richest life isn't the one filled with the most. It's the one lived with the deepest sense of meaning. And meaning is never found in what we own. It's found in who we are. The choice is yours. Will you continue to seek fulfillment in things outside yourself? Or will you dare to embrace the priceless benefits of living simply? The ones nobody tells you about, but that change everything. Once you experience them,